In today's Leeds news, goal of the month award, Crew loan exit, Gelhardt Latest, Leeds open to a Gnonto move, Leeds Buendia door open, and false reports in the media. Morning folks, Ger here, Wednesday morning the 15th of January with your Leeds United news. I hope you're all having a good week so far. There's a little small bit of stuff to get stuck into, nothing major, but clarifying some stories that are already out there in the media, as well as some updates on some other exits away from Leeds and potential exits. There will be a match preview tonight. It might be a pre-record, but just keep an eye out for that one about 7 p.m. on the channel. And then tomorrow we've got Ben Jacobs popping in to have a chat around the January transfer window and try and decode all of the noise, what's going on at the club at the moment. But we'll start off with the Goal of the Month award for December, and Leeds United have announced their own Goal of the Month award winner for December, and it goes to Brendan Aronson, who picks up the award for the Goal of the Month for December for the goal against Derby County. Probably should go to everybody in the team with over 24 passes in that move of what was a phenomenal team goal for Leeds to get in the game against Derby. But well done to Aronson, picks up another award this season. He is still in line for the PFA one as well, I believe. See what happens there. Moving on, let's talk about an exit from Leeds United that came out of nowhere yesterday, and this one really did come quickly. And whilst we were all sitting waiting on news around Joe Gelhardt's potential exit away from Leeds United, Leeds popped up and surprised us all with a different one. Late yesterday afternoon, Leeds announced that Charlie Crew will leave the club on loan to Doncaster Rovers for the remainder of this season. Crew had made his debut earlier this year against Plymouth Argyle, but the now full Welsh international midfielder wasn't getting a whole lot of minutes outside of that for Leeds and was left out of the FA Cup squad for the weekend, which signalled that this potentially could be on the cards. He needed more game time. He needs it for his development. It's an important age for him, and this is a good move. And Doncaster boss Grant McCann believes that he is getting an extremely talented young player that will help Doncaster's push towards a promotion spot in League 2. They're currently operating in the final playoff spot in League 2, and it's a good move for Crew. He gets a chance to join a club that are competing at the top end of the league table and gets to showcase what he can do in a more attack-minded side rather than a side that's struggling at the bottom of the side of the table. The deal itself is said to be a straight up loan with no options or no other caveats in that as well. So a straight loan to the end of the season. You would imagine if Leeds can get promoted, he goes out on loan again. And I believe if Doncaster do get promoted and if Leeds get promoted, he picks up winners' medals or runners-up medals for both as well. So we'll see what happens there. We'll keep an eye on Charlie for the rest of the season as well. Moving on to another exit, and this is the latest on the Joe Gelhardt to Hull exit, and it looks like it's all but done and dusted. Ben Jacobs of Give Me Sport put out an update on the Joe Gelhardt situation, basically suggesting that the deal is all but done. Jacobs reported that Gelhardt is at Hull's training ground today, has been pictured there, and could join Hull in a straight up loan. Again, no options to buy, which is a surprise for me, and no other options in there as well. But again, if Leeds get promoted, you could probably see Joffrey going out again or being sold in the summer if this goes well. But he could finalise that move today or even late tomorrow, but it's likely they will go through today, so you can keep an eye out for that one. And Joffrey and Charlie Crew will both move away. There's starting to be some gaps opening up on the Leeds bench all of a sudden. Maybe something's going to get done. Moving on to Willie Gnonto and the former Blackburn chief scout Mick Brown, who believes to have his finger on the pulse on quite a couple of things still in the game of football. He believes that a substantial bid for Willie Gnonto this January would see Leeds open the door for an exit of Gnonto from the club. Gnonto started the season on fire for Leeds United and despite going off the boil in the last couple of months, he's still one of Leeds' highest goal contributors with goals and assists this season, but a lot of them came in the early part of the season, and the last couple of months Gnonto's really struggled for form. There has been some reports of interest in Saudi, but they come from very, very non-reliable and non-credible sources, so we haven't really got into that in much detail, and we won't either. But on the Gnonto situation, Brown said the following: I think Gnonto fits into that group. He can look electric for 20 minutes, but then you see him fading in games, and he's always been that sort of player. I don't think you can build a team around a player like that because there's just too much inconsistency. He's got the ability, of course, but it's about doing it consistently, especially if they are to rely on him in the Premier League. He went on to say that if Leeds did get a substantial offer that meets their valuation of Gnonto, that they're likely to accept or consider the option of the player moving away from the club. And Gnonto is currently probably fourth choice wide player for Leeds right now, but you've got to be very careful in letting these kind of age group players go. He's still very young, and just because he had a lot of minutes, I think people forget that as well. And there's inconsistencies with young players as part of the course. But if you were to let him go and he starts to pick up form as he gets older at another club and you've lost out, and we've seen this with the potential rumours that Leeds didn't put a sell-on clause in the Archie Gray deal to Spurs with Real Madrid now hanging around looking for him. You just need to be a bit more careful with these kind of deals and not be in a rush to push these players out the door. But what I will say is that if Willie Gnonto is to be the Premier League player we are believed that he wants to be, and Everton were interested in him, then he needs to do more Premier League level performances on a regular basis, essentially. Moving on to the story that's dominated most of the January window so far, and it kind of went cold, but it's back again, and it's Emi Buendia, and here we go again with Buendia, with the circumstances around the potential move for the player said to be changing with Aston Villa's moves in the transfer market. Yesterday, Aston Villa confirmed the signing of Borussia Dortmund attacker Daniel Malin for £19 million, which along with Morgan Rogers now means there are two players effectively playing in a position ahead of Emi Buendia. Buendia has said that he doesn't want to drop down to the Championship, and at the time Aston Villa said they were keen to keep him at the club, but coming off the bench in the FA Cup isn't the greatest look for a player who would have been hoping to start that game and get some minutes. The fact that he's not in contention to start that game isn't a great look, but Leeds have said that they will stay awake for certain positions and certain opportunities in this window. And Angus Kinnear, as we know, earlier this season spoke about the fact that Leeds did make a move for Buendia in the summer, and Daniel Farke has been very outspoken in the summer about wanting a number 10, and this to me feels like the deal Leeds are waiting on to do this month. This to me feels like Leeds think that they can sit this one out as long as they can, let Villa do their business, and then when Buendia falls down the pecking order, nip in and bring him closer to the end of the transfer window. It just has a Manor Solomon style vibe about it, but we'll have to see. But Villa manager Unai Emery has had some words on the topic, and speaking to the Birmingham Mail, he said the following: "If we are changing one player, Malin, for Philogene, that's the first. Maybe 2 or 3 more. We can do another deal of some players leaving and some players joining." The report about others leaving the club, 2 or 3 players said to leave the club, has opened the door for a link back to Leeds United, and reports today say that Leeds are still very much interested in the player, but that if Aston Villa are keen to take some players off the wage bill, that it could open the door for Leeds to nip in and get the player they've been looking for. Villa are not done in this market at all. Morgan Rogers isn't coming out of that Aston Villa side any soon. Malin's going to go in and compete in there. Does Emi Buendia want to sit on the bench for the rest of the season and then back himself in the summer to get back in the Aston Villa side, or does he want to make a move now and put some pressure on Villa players with a good performance in the back end of the season for Leeds, or maybe even put himself in a position for a permanent move to Leeds United? That could happen as well. But as it stands right now, it's still very much up in the air. Leeds are still keeping an eye out, and we'll have to keep an eye on that situation. And then moving into the final story of the day, and yesterday was a bit of a mad day for links to players popping up and then being quashed nearly as quickly as they popped up. And one of the ones that did pop up was a report circling claiming that Leeds had made a bid for Ivorian central defensive midfielder Jay Diavila, who plays for Leiria in Portugal. According to the report, Leeds had offered €4 million for the central defensive midfielder, and according to reports today, Leeds had even applied for a work permit for the player. However, the 21-year-old does not meet the criteria to get a work permit to play in the UK, which means he's likely to not have even appeared on a scouting list for Leeds to be a serious option. Leeds are well stacked in the central midfield area, as well as having 3 central defensive midfielders essentially in the squad right now. And Joe Donoghue yesterday from the Yorkshire Evening Post put out a piece where he said Leeds United sources at the club had told them that there was no truth in this rumour at all, and Leeds are not interested and not pursuing a move for Jay Diavila from Leiria in Portugal. It makes sense, to be honest. There's a lot of noise around the place at the moment, and there seems to be selective decisions from Leeds being made to come out and quash certain rumours, but not all. They haven't quashed Amabama Deli. They haven't quashed Buendia. They've said nothing about either of those two, and they've been pretty much in the public sphere for quite some time. But they have quashed Berisha. They have quashed this one and another one during the week as well. So it's an interesting one to see. I like to read between the lines of what Leeds do. It's one more case of what Leeds don't do than what Leeds do. And that, for me, gives us the answers. And I think that Leeds are going to wait this window as long as they can, or until any Buendia becomes available, and that's likely to move. I think if they can bring in Andrew Amabama-Deli as well, that'll be them done for the January window. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. Either way, there's reports of big moves in the summer as well, and a lot of these players that we're hearing at the moment could be players Leeds are lining up for potentially summer, likes of Nico Elvedi at Dortmund, at Gladbach as well, those kind of players. So we'll have to wait and see. But folks, we're back tonight with a match day preview for the Leeds-Sheffield Wednesday game, which takes place on Sunday. I will see you later on for that, or you can check out yesterday's news if you want to. Talk to you later. See you. Bye.